What's up, folks? Welcome back in. It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical today, folks. And recently, we discussed this a little bit yesterday and a little over on Monday, from the weekend. But we've been noticing an odd trend in the meta, and that is that it seems like the community is sort of self-policing all the broken trash that now exists in Warhammer 40K. And one of the showcases of that being that we saw very limited success from Death Guard last weekend, which was wild. One of the first times in the last 2 months we've seen Death Guard kind of on a downturn, not either the top faction or tied for the top faction. And a lot of that is because people are so tired of this stupid faction that they're playing other stuff. And so what I wanted to do today is talk about some of the crazy results that we saw and take a peek into some of the high score lists that we haven't covered. We've got things like Drukari at number 1, which is crazy. We have things like Imperial Agents at 5 wins. Insane. And all of this cool stuff is possible due to a downturn in the upper echelons of the metagame getting played. So if we are to see some transformative changes to the game in the next couple of weeks, I think that the game's actually going to be in a really interesting spot, and I think it's going to be pretty fun. So I'm kind of psyched about it. There are some point sleeves. Death Guard getting a Megaton hammer. Yeah, I have seen screenshots upon screenshots. I don't know if I believe any of them. There is scuttlebutt that tomorrow there will be a balance update, but I don't know that for sure. At the very least, we do have a I do have scheduled a what do you call it? One of those games with the stuff. A T5SU Invitational game tomorrow. If we'll likely talk about any updates that happen either before or after that game. So don't go too far away from the channel. We've got games scheduled both tonight. So immediately after this, or not immediately, but after this video concludes, we have a T5S2 Invitational game at 6, and we have one tomorrow at 2 p.m. So if you want to watch some more live 40K coverage, that's going to be live on this channel both this evening and tomorrow. I also will have scheduled games. I don't know if I'm going to schedule a game tonight, or I might just record a game. I've actually been kind of grinding games right now, and so I've got a lot of games recorded, most of which are going to go on my my TacticalTortoise TV channel. If you are familiar with that, you get immediate access to any of my VODs once they're edited and put up by NC Conroy, my amazing manager for that channel. But there's a $1 per month membership to get immediate access to all of that stuff. Otherwise, you have to wait till it comes out naturally. But I'm playing some experimental stuff and seeing what I could do to I don't know, play some fun games in what is otherwise a dumpster fire of a meta, but it might be interesting once things change. Anyway, chat, that's what everything is going on over here. But let's go ahead and dive into some interesting lists. And the first thing I want to talk about is this 5-win Imperial Agents. I believe that this is Ragnarok GT. I believe that Tabletop Live streamed this, and I believe that they streamed Matt Stadnick on who was playing Imperial Agents. I know that they streamed him on their second table, on their supporter table, but I don't know if they did it on their main table because I didn't watch the entire weekend of the stream. I was obviously streaming my own event. But if there is, I think, at least some coverage of this list available online. But it is a Imperialis fleet. So this is the detachment where you could choose an objective marker. I'm gonna refresh my memory on this because it's been a dog's age since we talked about terrible ass agents of the Imperium. You choose an objective. You either gain or you choose a unit. It's either you choose a unit and you gain +1 to hit that unit. Or you choose an objective, you get an invuln save on the objective. Yeah. So it's starting your command phase. You can select either to eliminate an enemy unit, gain +1 to hit targeting that unit, or acquire an objective, you gain +1 OC, leadership, and a 5+ invuln save while you're within range of that objective marker. Pretty sweet until the start of your next command phase. A little awkward that it doesn't work turn 1, but that's okay. That's usually not that big of a deal, except for the objective marker invuln save thing. So I have rosacea, chat, which is why my nose gets red. Usually it is exacerbated by temperature or exercise. And in this case, I took a shower about 45 minutes ago. My hair's still a little wet, and that usually pulls it out. Which is why sometimes in my videos my nose is very red. So there you go. There's a little bit of knowledge for you, so that you could take that home, I guess. I don't know. All right, so let's talk about this. I think the writers of the Imperial Agents Codex are like, someone finally gets it. I don't know. Did this have writers? This codex? I don't know if anybody actually wrote this. I feel like it was generated by an algorithm. It kind of it's not quite to the same level as Great. Hey, although it might be. The Great Ice Codex is like just Chat GPT designing detachments, but Agents of the Imperium feels a little bit like that. So we have a Calidus assassin. We have a Watch Captain Artemis, who oftentimes is played by himself. There are a ton of Deathwatch kill teams, 3 Deathwatch kill teams, which is really just the most consistent anti-tank that this entire faction has in faction. If they're not taking, what do you call it? The Imperial Knights or whatever. So Artemis grants your unit lethal hits when he attaches, but he's also oftentimes played as a singleton. He's only 4 wounds, unfortunately, with a 6+ field no pain, but he gets a 2+ reanimation end of phase, so he can stand back up after you kill him. So a lot of times he just plays as a little 65 points for a dude who can stand back up. It's actually kind of a steal, so that's kind of sweet. We've got a navigator with clandestine operation. So that lets you redeploy up to 3 infantry units, or excuse me, not redeploy. Redeploy is the entourage. That lets you infiltrate up to 3 units. Kind of a throwaway. You can put that anywhere, but you put it on the navigator, and then he holds your home objective all game because he's gonna force enemies to deep strike away. We've got then 2 Watchmasters, so they grant advance and charge to our Deathwatch kill teams. We do have 3 Deathwatch kill teams, so we could attach our Artemis to one of them. Looks like they are all equipped with 4 Thunder Hammers, which is the good melee. One of them has 3 shield guys. The other one has more shooting. 2 Infernus Heavy Bolters, 2 Frag Cannons. So I wonder if Artemis goes into 1 just for the heavier shooting. I'm not sure. There are some pretty sweet... or there's like offensive buffs for these units, but they're only for your Voidfarers specifically. You can, for 2 CP, targeting an enemy on an objective marker, you can gain sustained hits, lance, and ignore cover. For that phase. So we can we can sort of turbocharge these Deathwatch units potentially. We also then have an Imperial Navy Breacher team. Those guys, we can get +1 strength and AP targeting an enemy within 12. And then also they'll get +1 to hit when reroll wounds when they target somebody on an objective marker 2. We've got 3 Subductor squads, 2 Rhinos to carry around the Deathwatch kill teams, and then Canis Rex. Let's go, dude. Let's go. I guess the other thing that you can do is, because all of the Deathwatch kill teams have characters attached to them, they can all displace your field. So after you get shot, if you have after you're selected as a target, when you gain a 4+ invuln save, so you already have shield guys, but you can take it on the other dudes, and then after the attacks are resolved, you can make a normal move up to 6. So you can run the Deathwatch kill teams out and then run your Rhinos behind them. And then you eat 1 shot back, take it on some of your Rebolter dudes, and then re-embark into the Rhino is kind of the technology there. So a little bit of movement shenanigans. It's not quite as defensive as... It's easier to utilize, I guess, than or I should say harder to play around than a regular reactive move. Because your opponent can move wherever they want, but you can set up a situation where your opponent either attacks you, and then triggers it, or doesn't take objectives from you, in which case you're doing fine, and your units just get to survive. So that's a pretty important stratagem as well. And then we have Canis Rex, who's good. He's just a big old Canis Rex boy. What a time. Are my donations set up? You keep getting error messages. I don't know. You shouldn't be. I haven't changed anything on my end. Can I send one to myself and see if it works? This is annoying. See if we can get to the bottom of that chat. I don't know if that did anything. I have no idea if I'm able to send to my own chat. So I hear the rumor that Adeptus Mechanicus is getting access to 30k stuff, but you have to take 500 points of fortifications. What? That sounds like a. That sounds like a lie. I don't know. Is it? What even does AdMech have as a fortification? It's like the drill, the big drills. No, that's. Does he mind going through donation messages and reading? Oh, that could be an issue on Streamlad's end. They were working yesterday. I'll send a test, make sure it's working, and then we'll move on. But cool to see Agents of the Imperium doing well. 5-1 at a major is actually kind of sick. What the fuck? Okay. Let's see. See if my widget works. Yeah, it seems like it does. I don't know, chat.
Kevin donated $19 through Super Chat. This is a test Super Chat message.
Here you go. It seems like it works. Anyway. Donating to yourself is literally just donating to YouTube when you think about it. Yeah, it's true. It's donating like whatever, 30 cents to YouTube or whatever. Because they get a pretty hefty cut. Been watching my TTS matches for a bit. Haven't seen me play Blood Angels. Yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've played Blood Angels myself. At least not since the release, like since early edition, or early 10th probably. I have played Blood Angels in the past in previous editions, but not a lot for 10th. Do I have a good Liberator Assault Group or Angelic Inheritors list? Not like personally, but I would take a look at. I mean, watch my best armies in 40k videos. Blood Angels usually feature, and they are those are the good ones for sure. Anyway, chat. So it seems like we figured that over. We figured that out. Let's continue to talk about. I don't know. Do we have anything else to say about Imperial Agents? First of all, congratulations to Matt Stadnick for going 5-1 with the game's worst faction. That's pretty cool. Definitely, and like I said this before, but I'm gonna say it one more time. I actually think Canis Rex should stay super stupid cheap as an ally. Fuck Canis Rex in Imperial Knights. Nuke that man into the sun. But the Imperial Knights having really cheap ally numbers means that they make all the bad factions good now. It's like adding ketchup to French fries, right? You like every Imperial faction, regardless of how dog shit it is only as bad as its worst knight ally. So, like, you raise the floor of how terrible armies can be, and it's made like Sisters better. It's made Adeptus Custodes better. It's made Astra Militarum better. It's made there's like weird Space Marine lists every once in a while. People play Allied Knights for whatever reason, and these are not factions that are typically winning the game, but it's certainly making them healthier. And I kind of hope that we see like special night pricing for allies, because I think that it's very apparent, at least by my analysis, that this kind of pricing is very strong for the like the really trash factions. Now I'm worried that if they like hyper buff Adeptus Sororitas or whatever, like having access to a really cheap Canis Rex would be bad. But I think in the obviously the current state of things are looking okay. And I think that you could probably like faction price these knights, although maybe that's hard to balance. I don't know, but it's actually been kind of a sick thing to watch happen, because we do get weird lists like this that become good simply by the fact that there is a wildly undercosted knight inside the army, which is kind of sick. I don't know. I think it's fine. Canis having no stratagem support sucks. Yeah, I would say in most like in well constructed factions, you might as well not bring Canis because he has no synergy ever, right? He's just his own guy and he rerolls, and he's just like kind of consistent. However, I think that it does, like, just having a brick of stats that's relatively consistent in factions that don't necessarily have access to that helps them quite a bit. Whereas in factions that are designed very cohesively and have a lot of internal synergy, you're never going to play a knight anyway, so it doesn't matter what their cost is. Like Space Marines, for example. It's like I could take a knight, or I could take 2 more Vindicators and like get rerolls and +1 to wound. So I'm just gonna do that I can use AOC on and smoke and free strats from Killaman and all that stuff. Whereas Canis Rex can't do that. However, if you're playing, I don't know, Adeptus Mechanicus, I'm like, I could take a knight, or I could take 2 Scorpius Dune Riders who are like mediocre as hell. So I might as well take the knight. And then suddenly another like trash faction that's struggling becomes okay again. I don't know. I think we're gonna see knights get nerfed, and then I think their codex is gonna come out, and it sounds like they're gonna be nerfed again. And I am a little worried about the factions that are currently relying on knights. But obviously, it could be that we see like a normal balance data slate come out for them, and that those factions get some addressing. I don't know. Up 50 points as an ally, 70 for knights. I mean, I guess so. So like, here's kind of the problem with Noble Lance right now for Imperial Knights is like, because they have so many wounds, the extended effect of feel no pain to buffer those wounds makes knights inside Imperial Knights like so strong right now. If you play them outside of those armies, Imperial Knights actually die like dogs. Like T11, basically like regular saves, like 3+, 5+, but you can't buff the 5+. You're just eating damage on a big thing that's like kind of hard to maneuver. They just die immediately. I actually think like Cadus is fine at like 380 in other factions. Because he doesn't get fail no pains, he doesn't get rotate ion shields, he doesn't get fight on death, he doesn't get any of that shit. He's just a big idiot. And anyone who's teched to kill like more than 1 super heavy is just going to kill him immediately. As soon as he comes in to do anything, you just kill him instantly. So he has to play super cagey, and then like he's 400, a quarter of your army that's or 20% of your army that's not doing anything half the game. I don't know. Like every game I've watched with Canis Rex outside of Imperial Knights, he's been totally fine. He's just been absolutely just a guy. But inside Imperial Knights, he's like super duper dumb. He feels so squishy. Yeah. Next to a bunch of Dread Knights. Yeah. Like a 2+ save and cover is like a real big deal, but a 3+ save on a big idiot who's like kind of hard to get cover on sometimes. Because he has to touch terrain. It gets a little bit funny. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base with that chat, but that's just kind of my experience with it. I remember for a while there was the Canis walking the dogs list where it was Canis and 6 Dread Knights. And then like you would look at the 6 Dread Knights and you're like, Canis is worth 2 Dread Knights, but he has the survivability of 1 Dread Knight. Like the Dread Knights are like little guys, they could hop around, they were tough to pin down. And they had that was before Warpaint Task Force, so they had like Sigil of Exigence available on one of them at least. And you were like, this sucks. I hate dealing with these guys. But then Canis would commit and you would instantly kill him. Immediately he would be dead. And you're like, okay. Like at least it was only Canis Rex. I don't really know why it works that way, but it is what it
Ryan
is.
G donated $5 through Super Chat. There are dark rumors of our beloved going away. The Chad, the meme, the legend, Balial might be getting a new data sheet. Good night, sweet prince.
Good night, worst character in 40K. We can finally award or gift the award, place the crown on the head of the true worst epic hero in Warhammer 40K, Trazen the Infinite. It will no longer be Grandmaster Belial. Sad times, chat. Although I think Trazen might still be worse. Trazen's a real piece of shit. That guy sucks. In some cases, actively makes your army worse. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan. Appreciate that. I'm excited if they do cool stuff with Belial because I think Belial has been one of the most underpowered data sheets in every edition I've ever seen him in. He should be a badass Turbo Chad because he's the Grandmaster of the most elite Terminator force in the setting. And he always sucks. He's always worse than a regular captain. And I don't get it. Is there like a lore reason? Is he like an old wizened guy who's like missing both legs and an arm? I don't understand because he's always just like a dude with a power weapon in every single edition he's ever been released at. And I'm talking back through like 4th edition. Like the 4th edition Belial datasheet was awful. He just had a cool special ability where you could like deep strike Terminators early, I think was his only thing. But it was wild. It was crazy. Yeah. Trazen is actively worse than not having a character. His ability only kills the characters that's better than he is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, his ability to kill other characters is really dumb. If you could kill non-characters, it would maybe be broken, but at least it would do something. And then he like doesn't have a gun and has a really mediocre ranged melee attack. It gives you Obsec. Cool. I love that. I mean, Obsec is fine to have, but it is what it is. Let's talk about some Emperor's Children chat. 4-1. Brenton Weiss, rocking coterie of the Conceited. I know it's been a while for Emperor's Children players, because their faction got turbo nerfed, and then also everyone else got better. So it's been a long time since Emperor's Children have done anything really competitive, and it's super duper cool to see them at 5-1. We've got a Slash Demon Prince with Pledge of Unholy Fortune, so that's the auto flip an attack into a 6. Usually we see that on a Lord Cacophonist, so that you can sustain additional Blastmaster shots. But on the Demon Prince, it gives you a flip late game. So once you activate lethal and sustained hits from your coterie of the Conceited Pledges, it gives you a lethal plus sustain late game. And that's the thing with the Demon Princes is that they're so like their mortal wound output's really good, but their melee profile's really bad. However, once you apply all the coterie of the Conceited buffs to it, it's fine, and they hit as hard as any other hard-hitting unit. Pledge of Unholy Fortune just makes that significantly more consistent, and you get saving throw flips early game. So you can sort of make that dude super tough to kill. He can have Armor of Contempt, -1 damage, Feel No Pain, plus an auto flip damage, or an auto flip saving throw. Once per turn makes him kind of hard to get through, and it preserves his wounds towards the late game. And then you really want the Demon Princes, if you're not using them to just hammer down something you need to apply mortals to, you want them to commit only battle round 3 or 4 when you have the lethal sustained unlocked. Once they go full ham, the Demon Princes are really good, but before then they can get overshadowed. We got double Lord Exultants, a Lord Cacophonus, Lucius the Eternal, double Infractors for the Lord Cacophonus, or for the the Lord Exultants to hang out with. We've got double Tormentors for utility, Chaos Rhino, 6 Flawless Blades. What? Fascinating. Who's the warlord here? It is Lucius. So I imagine we're playing Lucius as a lone operative. So he's just vibing in the back. Because then you don't have to commit him anywhere. He does get kind of spicy into knights if he's in flawless blades, because it's almost it's not quite guaranteed, but it's almost sure thing that he fully converts all his attacks because he's hit and wound rerolls, plus like sustained lethal, whatever you have access to, plus critical threes to wound, and he's rerolls against characters in walkers, so he works against knights. However, he wins on fives. Flawless blades shore that up. So I guess like he's good for like, I don't know, probably 12 damage on a super heavy. Plus, and then the flawless blades will probably kill you after you get that going off. Maybe 15 if you have buffs active. So, I guess there is an argument to play him like as a beat stick, but the problem is then he becomes potentially targetable, and then you might lose your warlord, which is a disaster, especially against knights or whatever. Dude is a pro, absolutely, for sure. Double Mauler Fiends. The Mauler Fiends are interesting. They do seem pretty good, but I've seen Emperor's Children players. I've had so many Emperor's Children players expect the Mauler Fiend to like single-handedly solve armor problems for them, and then wildly underperform and not do anything, and then they get sad, which always surprises me because it's like the least consistent profile of the game. 6 attacks, d6 plus 1 damage each, with like only rerolls and stuff from the coterie of the conceded detachment. So sometimes you can underswing every step of the fight of the attack sequence. So it's just like a fast, kind of hard-hitting dude, and for 130, I think they're fine, but they're just kind of inconsistent guys. And then double noise marine squads for shooting as well. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Is Belial getting the nerf hammer? God, I hope so. Could you imagine, chat? I want to see the developer commentary on that. We felt that Belial, Grandmaster Belial, was being, his datasheet didn't truly reflect the character that we want to portray in the universe. We want, and in that way, Belial could have potentially made an impact on a game he played in, and that was unacceptable to us. So we've decided to half all of his stats and double his points value. In fact, you lose the game immediately if you include Belial in your list. He instead of granting a once in a blue moon critical curl precision to your own unit that makes all your attacks really difficult to resolve, he grants it to opponents targeting his unit so he can be killed more quickly so that you can get that piece of crap out of your list. We've made him worse. We've just strictly made him worse. Belial gives his unit Overwatch on 5s but can only join Deathwing Knights. He will Overwatch with his 2 damage Stormbolter or whatever. Does he still have a 2 damage Stormbolter? He always had like a Mastercrafted Stormbolter. Yeah, he does. He has a 2 damage Stormbolter with precision. Oh, let's go. But it's AP 0, so the 2 damage probably won't matter. Oh man, Belial, you goober. Actually, giving your opponent precision against him might actually be better because he has this like damage reflection onto people after they hit him, which is the most useless ability for a guy who's just gonna like deep strike and then do stuff, or like attach to a unit and do things. But if your opponent has to attack him, then he might be okay. Oh god, what a silly goober. Which Tyranid Legends unit is the most goated? I don't know the Legends profile on anything. I want to say it's like Barbed Hyrule. Barbed Hyrules were extremely playable on release. They were actually good. And I think the stuff that came out post Codex would have been very nice. Especially like Subterranean Assault would actually be amazing with them. But then they got legended immediately, which is sad because I have 3 of them. So they just get to live in the bottom of my cabinet over here and never see the light of day again. Where's the data sheet? They had like a suppression effect, but they were just like a million pretty reasonable gunshots, if I remember correctly. Plus a good melee profile. Let's see. Sky Slasher Swarms usually actually pretty good because they deep strike. Well, I guess, or they move fast, but I guess they can't go through walls, so they're actually no good. They have 2d6 plus 6, strength 9, AP 2 damage. Or maybe Scythe Boys. AP 2 though. Dude, this is like such release Tyranids, bro. This like 300 point melee, like dedicated melee monster, AP 2. Okay. Cool. Scythe Aerodole might be actually sick. If you play it like Subterranean Assault with this guy is actually sweet because it shores up his inconsistency in melee. And it delivers him, and he has a short range gun and a good melee attack. I actually think it would be one of the Hyrule profiles for sure. All right. Let's talk about some other cool lists. There is a interesting Chaos Space Marine list. This is actually really cool. Let's talk about this one. Ben Eisenoff. Hacked Bound Zealots. All right. I need chat. How many Hellbrutes in this list? And did Ben pay points for them? When did Hive Guard stop being legends? They were never legends ever. So I think Vanguard veterans will get a Primaris upgrade. I kind of hope they don't, but I do think they probably will. It would be cool to see like a heavier damage profile jump pack unit, I guess, for generic Space Marines, but like it is kind of annoying because Space Marines we're going back to the point where Space Marines just have a million profiles for every unit archetype. Man with Bolter, you have like 3 data sheets. If you count Phobos Marine with Bolter, it's like 6 data sheets. Or am I including the free Hellbrute? No. That you have to also list the free Hellbrute in there. So we have Abaddon the Despoiler. I'm gonna look for a Hellbrute. Right? Chat. There's no Hellbrute. Oh, it has an undivided forge feed. That is OG tech. Oh my god. What the heck? Dude, we're back where we started. It's all your fault. Ben Eisenoff unironically just playing a list from release 10th edition. This is crazy. What the heck? Okay, so Abaddon the Despoiler. So we get hit rerolls from that bad Mamma Jamma. 2 Lord Discordants. So one of them has Intoxicating Elictor. I believe that's that is a Feel No Pain. Yeah, it is a Feel No Pain. You force battle shark checks on anybody, but who cares? The other one is Talisman of Burning Blood, +1 attack and strength. So cool thing about that, and then plus D3 attack and strength if you pass your Dark Pact leadership check, is that his extra attacks. So the Hellstalker on the Lord Discordant swings if he takes the in virus injector, which he didn't, so he's just taking limbs. But the limbs also gain the bonus strength. So he can go up to strength 11 on his Chainglaive and potentially strength 9 on his Hellstalker attacks. Now, the Chainglaive attacks are the only one that benefit from additional strength. However, the additional attacks will go onto the Chainglaive, which is the highest impact attack anyway, so that's pretty good. You can also... Being Corn just unlocks the enhancement. There's not really, I think, a particular synergy with stratagems. You can fight on death, I guess, when you're selected as a target, which is whatever. Here's a cool thing though. After you destroy an enemy unit, You can buff the Lord Discordance with Eye of the Gods. It was released in the Codex and like basically never mattered. But you gain +1 move, toughness, wounds, attack, strength, and damage for 1 command point after you kill a unit. So the Hellstalkers can be like relatively quick, and then they're also like just sort of a um it is excluding demon, actually. I assume these guys aren't demons. I assumed that you could use this, but maybe I'm wrong now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, chat, you can't do that. Just kidding. They have demon keyword. All right. Ignore what I said. Dang. I thought that it was just a big vehicle they were on, but I guess it's a demon engine on the Hellstalker, so I guess that makes sense. Too bad. I was gonna be excited about that because they have sort of that like real midline profile where any improvements to their profile push them like way through the roof because they're like kind of almost like a medium vehicle thing. But if you give them plus toughness and attacks, they go kind of crazy. Um, all right, so we have triple cultist mobs for utility, triple bikers for Nurgle. Nice thing about them is they get sustained on their little guns. They get the Chaos Bikers get like the OG biker weapon loadout where they could just take anything. So you get a bunch of either plasma or melta guns. And then with sustained, like potential sustained hits, the melta guns have the chance of just accidentally spiking something out, which is pretty wild for your 70-point utility unit. Although sometimes they fail Dark Pact and it's a disaster because they only have 3 bottles. They have to lose a special weapon every time they lose a guy. Chaos Vindicator, a chosen unit, double Forge friends. The chosen's probably for Abaddon to hang out with. Double Forge fiends. So one's Nurgle. So we get the enhanced critical hits, 5-up critical when we sustain. The other one is Undivided, which gives you reroll 1s to hit. And then it unlocks use of Profane Zeal, which used to be reroll 1s, and then anything any undivided unit could full reroll. But it got restricted to only being able to be used on undivided units, but it gains wound rerolls. And because it's the Chaos Space Marine Forge Fiend, they can overcharge their guns for hazardous and devastating. So when you're rerolling wound rolls, they go kind of insane. And this was actually the combo for the longest time. Before the stratagem got nerfed. Once the stratagem got nerfed, a lot of lists moved to Hellbrute combo, where you got 5-up critical lethal sustain instead of undivided Profane Zeal stuff. But previous to that, you would almost always have at least one undivided Forge Fiend to gain wound rerolls and then use those to trigger devastating damage. And that Forge Fiend did absolutely insane, horrible things to people. When you're getting 5-up lethal hits, though, the devastating wounds don't actually do that much, so it's not really worth like trying to combo it out. So you might as well take Mark of Nurgle at that point. But if we're not doing that, then like pacting for sustain and giving yourself wound rerolls is actually super powerful for just 1 command point, and you have CP generation in the list to fuel it as well. We then have a Raptor squad plus double Warp Talons for some utility as well. The Warp Talons give you 5-up critical for sustains, and you're twin linked already, so that makes a lot of sense. Plus, you can use Torpifying Refrain. You can advance and charge if you're Slanesh keyworded. Pretty cool list, chat. That's fun. And I guess maybe it did have a Hellbrute in it, and it's just not on the list. No, I don't think that's the case. And especially alongside the real wound rules of 1 against vehicles that you can get from 2 Hellstalkers. You get a lot of work out of those Forge Fiends too, especially, and the Vindicator as well. That's pretty cool to see. Love it. Pact Bound making a resurgence, yeah. I think so like funnily enough, Pact Bound Zealots has always had kind of a what's the comparison? Like a Firestorm Assault Force problem almost, where its potential damage is basically unlimited. It will basically kill God if you give it the opportunity to do so. However, you never wanted to because um it was never necessary, right? You're like, I could combo together a million damage, and I could, if I dump that into a single target or two super heavies or whatever, I can kill anything in the game. I can trade wildly up into basically anything in the game. But it requires setup, it requires, some things to go my way, and it requires a target. Now, in the meta we have right now, there are targets. Like you can roll up Chaos Vindicators, dump all your buffs on them, um, and then one shot knights with them. And that hasn't been the case for a while. What I'm curious is that we have not seen a grand um a huge resurgence of Vashtor the Archifane, because he seems so well suited for the meta right now. It's crazy. Um, just making Forge Fiends strength 12 is wild, but they are 180 point Forge Fiends, so it might just be too expensive. I don't know. But Vashtor seems like he should be really, really strong. -3 up to 256 damage on Nerval Vindicator. Yeah. I had in the video I did on the Hellbird situation. I did have a clip from Crucible last year of the Hellbrute combo one-shotting a Tesseract or a Tesseract Vault. And I remember that like very explicitly. It was Bryce Bennett, I think, was playing, and he lined up his whole army like Chaos Lord, a chosen unit, a unit of Warp Talons, possessed. Like everything came out. It was like, all right, you big Tesseract Vault, we're gonna put you back in the tomb. And then the Vindicator's like just sinks one, fucking no net right in and absolutely destroys this whole thing in one shot. It was crazy. It was like, all right, here we go. It was like 8 shots, rolled a million lethal sustains. Saves weren't that great, and he rolled like 40 damage or something. It was wild. It's crazy. Just Bashar's base ally seems so efficient, especially because you could make him load operative too. It's wild. I did see him getting some play in the event that I streamed over the weekend. That was cool. All right. What else we want to talk about, chat? I think there is an absolute bevy of good lists that we or interesting lists to talk about. One thing, a little trend I'm noticing. I wonder how much. Oh, I guess this is unique to a single event. I did notice a bunch of Death Guard losing round 1. I do wonder if you just like. I guess if they hit the mirror round 1, then like one Death Guard escapes to like just terrorize X1, the X1 bracket for a really long time. It becomes problematic probably. All right, I think we should talk about Tau Empire. Let's talk about Tau. Tau actually had a great weekend this week. Two undefeated. Vashtor's model is very cool, but he looks like a pain to move and play with. Oh, because he's kind of spindly. Yeah. Beat Death Guard fairly regularly. With what faction though? That's the question. It's not like I've never seen Death Guard lose, but it is rare. And a lot of players can't do it, or a lot of factions can't do it. Oh, with Warhost? Yeah. I think Warhost has play. Because Death Guard is like trying to play a stand-up game where they're interacting with you, and Warhost just doesn't interact. As long as you don't get killed by the indirect fire. Like, they can't really do anything to Mortarian's Hammer specifically can't really do that much to you. So that makes sense to me. Warhost is also probably like a tier 1 army, right? Like if you're X1 with a Death Guard list going into like the I don't know. What's a good example? The Adeptus Mechanicus players of the world. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be quite as fair of a fight as an army that is or a detachment that's basically S tier right now. Yeah, so let's talk about this. This is Randy Brigham, who won Ragnarok GT with a Kroot hunting pack. We're back. It's Kroot Appreciation Day. Would like everyone to appreciate, or would appreciate everyone saying hello to the Kroot. letting them know you're glad to see them. I say he sounds like a wildlife educator, like in one of those little auditoriums that zoos have sometimes. He's like, "Hey, everybody, we brought our Kroot, and we want everybody to say hi to the Kroot. Don't make any sudden movements or loud noises, though. They'll eat you. They'll absorb your best traits." We also saw Auxiliary Cadre go undefeated this weekend, but we've talked about Kroot hunting pack in the past on Best Armies in 40K, so I didn't talk about it this week. But obviously, it is still a very good way to play the army. So we've got double Shapers plus a double Lone Spear. So the Lone Spears are the lone operative guys. Interestingly, no Kroot Hawk Flock, which always blows my mind on those guys because it sounds like such an auto include, but maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe. Dawn of War 4 was revealed. Wait, really? They're going. I guess the Dawn of War like remastered did pretty well, right? People are pretty hyped about that. So I imagine that maybe they have momentum now. Man, when did Dawn of War 3 release? Like 2014? That's a while ago. Oh, 2017. 8 years ago. Although I guess they released Space Marine 2 like 13 years, 12 years after the original. So I guess that does make a little bit of sense. Sometimes it feels like the games industry is scraping the bottom of the barrel. We can talk about that after we finish talking about this list. All right, so we've got a Trail Shaper with Nomadic Hunter. I'm going to grab my enhancements here. So the Trail Shapers are Infiltrate Scout, which is cool. Nomadic Hunter gives you +3 movement characteristic in all your weapons of assault. So you go to move 10, I believe, on those guys, which is kind of sweet. I don't know if Farstalkers have an enhanced movement characteristic. No, they're base 7. Their Hound goes 15, I guess, which is kind of cool. And then another Warshaper with root card weapons. Now, somebody pointed out to me in a comment when I was talking about this list previously that the Warshaper is anti-infantry on his gun specifically, if you take the gun profile, which I did not know. So the ranged weapon is anti-infantry 3, D3 +1 shots, heavy assault, strength 4, 2 damage. It hits on 4s though, which sucks. But if you take root carved weapons, which is 10 points, basically a free upgrade, you trade. You have to take the sword, which is strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage, big little trash melee attack. If you want to take the gun, but if you take root carved weapons for basically free, it affects all of your attacks or all of your weapons, not just your melee. So I was like, in my head, like 10 points, it's a points filler, it's whatever. Like I'll take devastating wounds on my melee attack for no reason. But somebody pointed out, if you take it on the dart bow guy, he's anti-infantry plus devastating plus precision. So you can just shoot at a unit, an infantry unit. If you get 2 hits through, you're generating 4 mortal wounds, and if you can see a character, you just kill them immediately. And that's actually kind of sweet. I did not realize that interaction existed, but somebody pointed out, and I appreciate that. So that little combo is actually really cool. I like that, which does feel explicitly like what you're supposed to do. I just didn't know it did that. We've got 20 mana of Kroot Carnivores, 2 units of 20 Kroot, and then a bunch more units of 10, 4 more units of 10 Kroot. We have double Farstalker unit, 15 Kroot Hounds, 18 Kroot Rampagers, 9 Krootox Riders. So we have a 20 man of Kroot Carnivores that can gain that scout, and then they can gain +3 inches of movement. If we attach the Trail Shaper, he gives them redeployment and a reactive move as well. But then they can move 17 inches up the table on turn 1. So they just 17 inches plus an advance, and then they still get to shoot you. So they just go crazy. They go absolutely wild right up the middle of the battlefield. And I think I've said this before, but I think effects like these are really powerful because they give you something to do going turn 1. Because if you can just movement block your opponent, the fact that you did not go first doesn't feel quite as bad anymore. Because you've taken so much table space, and that allows you to overwhelm your opponent's shooting to get Rampagers into melee, because the Rampagers, if you don't allow them to, like, you can do things to protect them. Their stealth, their invuln saves. You could use the strat to make them difficult to shoot at, but obviously, like, your opponent can maneuver around that. It's an 18-inch lone operative, and the Rampagers themselves are not particularly fast. So if you keep them super duper far back, so your opponent can't shoot them, then you're like, that's, you know, you're not charging anyway, so it doesn't matter. So you need the Rampagers to have a buffer zone in front of them to get up the table. But if you have this like unit of dudes who moves a trillion inches, you can take that table space and then infill the backline with a million Kroot Rampagers, and suddenly your opponent, they can kill them. It's hard to kill them because they have 24 wounds, -1 to hit, and a 5+ invuln. So just the raw stat check of getting through them is tough. But it's hard to kill them before they either outscore you or you're trading down into them because you're killing one unit of Kroot Rampagers and they're hitting you with 3, or like essentially 3 between the Rampagers and the Kroot Riders. And then they just bully you off the middle of the battlefield forever. Plus, all the objectives get obsected too because everything's a Kroot carnivore. So, yeah, this list is crazy. It's super duper not Tau coded, right? It's just a bunch of idiot Kroot. But makes sense to me. I don't know. Seems pretty strong, chat. Your Horde Kroot list has a 93% go first win rate because you get bodied and can't leave your deployment zone. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think because going second is so strong, so you have so much control over the game going second, right? I think that the ideal solution is to find armies like this. If like chapter approved never gets changed, right? If we're talking about a metagame that's not being fucking wildly blown out by insane insane levels of bizarre balance because of all the codexes that came out. Finding armies like this that can destroy your opponent going first, but then just get all the passive benefits of going second if you go second, feels pretty good. And so I think it's a good lesson to sort of showcase that these like weird off the wall interactions where you're like, well, this isn't that good if you go second, but going second is good, so it's fine. Like, I will gladly take a slightly worse ability if I get bottom 5 scoring and better challenger cards. That seems fine for me. So I don't know. I think that if we get to a point where a lot of armies are able to play this way, the metagame actually looks really interesting and kind of weird, which I think could be pretty cool. Like really strong turn 1 alpha strikes hitting each other on like top bottom 1 and into like trying to claw back for round 5. And I don't know. I think that makes for an interesting game. Good, got to bring lots of fly, but it's like it's a physical real estate issue. That's not gonna fly because you like, I don't think you quite understand, chat. There's 80 Kroot 100 Kroot infantry. Only the infantry, there's 100 of them. There are also 33 cavalry that are on. I think they're big. They're on 50s, right? Or 60s? I actually don't know how big they are. I never paid attention. And the name of the game is to just wildly overwhelm your opponent. They are on 50 mil bases. So 33 50 mil bases and 100 infantry. So 20 of those infantry are going to physically move and block you, and they're going to string across your deployment zone. The rest of them, they don't move quite as far, but they still move pretty close. The rest of them just infill all the space in between. So even if you have fly, it is unlikely that you're going to get a good space to stand where you aren't just like not contributing that much and just getting blown out. It's kind of the same thing where like Imperial Knights players think that they can never get movement blocked because they have super heavy walker, but like, you don't understand. I'm not going to movement block where you are. I'm going to movement block where you're trying to go, and then suddenly you're being forced back to particular positions on the battlefield. And that's just good play right there. So good old W for the Kroot hunting pack. It's kind of cool. It's pretty sweet. In current tournaments, are they still using Pariah Nexus rules or the new Crusade book? They're using chapter-proof cards. Yeah, so the cards, the new deck is a new format. So when you buy the chapter-approved card deck, So like when you buy this, which of course is out of stock, so I don't know, get wrecked. I bought a copy from ATC, and I was like, "Is this legal that you're selling these?" And they're like, "I don't know." But listen, you can't buy these, so does it? Like, is anyone complaining? I was like, "Absolutely not. Thank you for selling them to." So, um, when you buy this, this includes a new set of rules to play missions with. So this is a mission format by itself. So none of the old Pariah Nexus rules are being used whatsoever. Those are all gone. Knights are fairly easy to move back, yeah, for sure. But the number of times I've seen Knights players say, like believe that they can't be move blocked because they don't think that their opponent can stop them is crazy because that's just clearly not the case. Logo GT printed their own with the GT logo on the back and is using it for surprise support. Yeah, yeah, I've seen a lot of places do that. It's like the legality is questionable, but listen, do I? Oh boy, do I appreciate you doing it because it's cool to see. I don't know. It's good to see. It's nice to have access to them. Please just let me let me play the game. What else we got, chat? You want to talk about some Dark Angels? Got a bunch of Dark Angels doing well. If we go over to Ramarek Industries, which is 50 players, I believe. Got an X1 Wrath of the Rock. Isaac Clark went 4-1 with Azrael, a Phobos Lieutenant with Tempered. What does that do? Hold up. Tempered in battle? Am I stupid? Oh, it gives you real battle shock checks. No, just kidding. I always forget what that one does because it's always a points filler. Azrael, Phobos Lieutenant, Combi Lieutenant. It's a Phobos Lieutenant. It's not a Combi Lieutenant. It's an actual honest to God Phobos Lieutenant. Wait, are we just like playing that guy? There is an infiltrator squad, so we could attach him. Or he might just be by himself. Is there any particular synergy with Wrath of the Rock and a Phobos Lieutenant? I guess, like, you can give anything in the army advance and shoot, right? And then he moves after shooting, so he could just be, like, hyper, super duper fast. That's all I can think of. I don't know if you would necessarily want to attach him. Oh, it's a librarian. I'm an idiot, chat. You see this face? This is the face of a big moron. What a big dummy. That is not a Phobos Lieutenant. That is a Phobos Librarian. Okay, that makes total sense. I love it. It's been forever. That's anti-Death Guard tech right there. So the Phobos Librarian gives you Lone Operative. And you attach him to the infiltrator squad, so you cannot be attacked from outside 12, and enemies can't reserve within 12. So if you can't just move up to attack them, you have no way of interacting with the unit whatsoever. So even if, for example, Mortarian's hammer goes, "Hey, I'm gonna contagion your backline," and then shoot your infiltrators to death, you go, "Well, you can't shoot my infiltrators to death, and my infiltrators override the Death Shroud Terminator close deep strike ability, so you can't come in with Death Shroud Terminators. It's expensive as hell. It's 170 points for the combo by itself, without the extra aura thing there. But it's so powerful. Some armies just straight up die. It also gives you another lone operative so that you can protect Lionel Johnson, alongside the combo weapon lieutenant. So you don't have to put him next to the lieutenant. That's so silly. Oh man, I was like, what is the technology for a Phobos Lieutenant here? It's not a lieutenant, Trevi. It is confusing though, because it's Librarian LI in Phobos armor, LI with combi weapon. I was like, okay, lieutenant, no. Same looks. They look the same, but they're slightly different. Incredible. I think also the Phobos Lieutenant is like 55 points. He's super cheap. Funniest thing is when a knight player stands inside one of the tall ruins, ready to run through the wall. But they only go 8. All right, I'm not sure I understand. So beyond that, so talking about the actual units in the Codex in the army and not my head canon, I guess, of what people are playing at GTs. We've got an Intercessor Squad, Jump Pack Assault Intercessor Squad, 2 units of Deathwing Knights, no Chaplain, Wombo combo, by the way, here. Just 2 Mace of Absolution units, 2 Gladiator Lancers for our backline shooting instead of the pretty commonly played Centurion Devastators. And then Infiltrator Squad, we talked about. Invader ATV, Scout Squad, Sternguard Veterans for Azrael to hop into. This list feels light. Where do the points go? I guess like it is a little bit sad because the Phobos Librarian does, and the Infiltrator unit does represent an actual unit, like an actual combat unit worth of points value. You could basically get another Gladiator for the points that you spend on these guys. But if it protects you from backline deep strike screening, like deep strike attacks, it's hugely powerful. It's incredibly effective. But if you run into matchups where you don't need that, you're like, ooh. Sometimes you don't even attach the librarian. You just use him as a utility guy. He just runs around and does actions. Because you're like, if I don't need him to protect my backline, then this whole combo is worthless. So I'm going to get as much work as I can out of it. But I guess it does have kind of a lot of utility. We've got an Invader and a Scout Squad and an Infiltrator Squad and an Assault, an Intercessor Squad. So it's a lot of little 5-mans running around, which are annoying to kill when we're in Wrath of the Rock. So it does make sense. Roll out points to sink when you're not playing Death Guard. Yeah, it's good into like it basically like single-handedly kills Host of Ascension. That's a big one. Those guys just absolutely mauled out, essentially. They just can't interact with that unit whatsoever. There's some other matchups where it's like really annoying, like Demons, Grey Knights. Grey Knights hate that shit. So it's not like 100% that it's only Death Guard, but it is very expensive for a unit that is largely only used for like maybe 30 to 40% of matchups. But if you're expecting to hit Death Guard every round, it's actually going to be sick. Have I thought of people being greedy on Terraform and not putting a ton of OC on their home objective? You Warp Spider in a Terraform their home objective turn 1. They can't unterraform it because you can only perform the actions on objectives outside your deployment zone. I did not think about that, but that's fucking amazing. You just flicker, jump over, like, what's up, boys? That's 5. It's 10 points for me. Thank you. That's incredibly good. I might use that. I might try to set up 6-inch deep strikes or like rapid ingresses with plague bears or something. Just steal their home objective and terraform it. That's so funny. I think the only ever time I see people's home objective gets terraformed is bottom 5. When it's like towards the end of the game. And you just do it for the 1 point at the end. All right, chats. Let's see if we can find any other interesting lists to discuss. Fairly here as we sort of push through. This is a little bit of this is a classic like sort of Ultramarine list. I know every Ultramarine player, as soon as they're not winning every single event, every Ultramarine player thinks that their faction's unplayably trash, which always gives me a little bit of a tickle. But they did go 4-1 here, lost to Drukhari in the finals, I guess. Which does make sense, actually. Like, Drukhari have some pretty solid anti-Marine equivalent profiles. And also, Space Marines are generally bad against MSU. It's really problematic for them. To the point where I actually think it might need, like... It might be worth working around. Although it seems like maybe Black Templars might not have that problem because they can basically oath everywhere all the time. But the problem is that like Ultramarines only get 2 oaths, everyone else only gets 1 oath, and every single Space Marine profile is basically baked around having oath moment available. And so if you can only oath like 2 venoms, you'll kill the fuck out of those venoms, but then everything pops out and you haven't done any other damage. So you've done 100 points worth of damage to your opponent's army, and then they're just on the objectives and stuff. Warp Spiders and Fire Dragons, all you need in life. Oh man, dude. So this is Gladius Task Force with a Fire Discipline Captain. What's the best attachment to play as Death Guard budget wise? I have a getting started with Death Guard video chat. I recommend if you are brand new to 40k, I recommend Champions of Contagion because it's very straightforward. And it lets you play a bunch of stuff that's good in basically every other detachment. You can like build out from there really nicely. So it's a captain with fire discipline, combat weapon lieutenant, and Robuti Gilliman. Yeah, I think that speaking of people talk about Marines having bad win rate, I think that Space Marines or like Space Marine chapters, I feel like tend to have kind of an evaporative effect on their player base, where if you are a Space Marine diehard, a lot of times, if your sub-faction is bad, you'll just switch to whichever sub-faction is good. So you're like, oh man, I don't really want to play Ultramarines right now because they got nerfed. I'll just play Blood Angels. Then the Blood Angel, all the dedicated players move over to Blood Angels, and the Blood Angels like play and win rate like slowly goes up. And then all the remaining people who just really like Ultramarines are just like left playing Ultramarines, and their win rate goes down. I kind of think there's a bit of a depressive effect like that on if you're looking at individual Space Marine factions. If you look at Space Marines as a whole, it gives you a better picture. But obviously, that is that's skewed by the fact that not a lot of people will switch between chapters. So it looks funny. Space Marines are just really weird to like try to math out. Like their success rate doesn't necessarily trend with their power level because it's too big. It's basically the size of an entire super faction by itself. Does it come in black? Yeah, I'm gonna go play Deathwatch. That's Mark Hurdle, right? He's like, he was playing Ultramarines for the longest time, and he was like, yeah, they got nerfed. I'm a Deathwatch player again. I'm out. And then Deathwatch is gonna get nerfed, or Vulcan's gonna come out, he's gonna be amazing. And Mark's gonna be like, Gator's over here, like, I'm a Salamander player again. I was always a Salamander player. So anyway. So it's a fire discipline captain, which is interesting. That's fascinating. I'm excited to talk about what's going on there. Maybe it's a Hellblaster unit. We've got a combi weapon lieutenant, Robo Booty Gillyman, plus an intercessor squad. The fire discipline also gives you reroll advances, right? So you could like potentially use it to just make your units faster. Double Centurion Devastators with las cannons. Fascinating. Nice independent unit. They don't need Oath of Moment. So that's a way to get around the weakness that we have with Oath of Moment, where it's only good into low model count armies, because the Centurion Devastators will just reroll their hits automatically anytime anyway. And they love having Assault Devastator Doctrine as well, because they like being able to advance and shoot. Infiltrator Squad, 3 Outrider units. That's a lot of Outriders, my man. What is happening? Repulsor, Stern Guard Veteran Squad. Okay, that's where the captain comes in. There he is, plus double Vindicators. The Stern Guard Veteran Squad. The reason that I think we're taking units with baked-in rerolls is so that we can always allocate one oath target for the Stern Guard Veterans. Because the Stern Guard Veterans get reroll hits and wounds. You give them sustained hits. They have assault weapons, so then they're advancing and gaining advanced roll rerolls from the ability. The sustained hits gives you extra wound rolls that you can then trigger devastating on, potentially if you're rerolling on your oath target. And then the repulsor can protect them from return attack. So they can either squad tactics into the repulsor, or the repulsor can rapid embark when you charge them. They can go back in. So that like little brick is really difficult to engage with, and you can squad tactics for free because you have the captain as well. That's pretty cool. I know, an interesting Ultramarine list. It's not normal stuff. Triple Outrider squads is wild. So like we could potentially like, I mean, the Outriders are interesting because they're basically a side grade from Jump Pack Assault Intercessors. It's less attack volume, no mortal wound generation, and they're slower because they have to pay for pivot and they have to go around walls. However, they're 2 damage and they're way harder to kill. And they have a gun, which is like relevant. A twin linked bolt rifle is actually kind of nice. It's not great, but it will kill a guy on the way in, 1 or 2. I guess you lose the plasma pistols. We'll call that a side grade. That doesn't really matter. But it's so interesting to see only Outriders. Usually it's like I'll take 1 Outrider if I want the 2 damage to hit into like a Marine equivalent or whatever, Plague Bearers or something. And then the rest will be Jump Pack Intercessors because they can go through walls. 3 Outriders is wild. But I don't know if it works. It works. You can save one of your oath targets. Like the Centurions can shoot and reroll by themselves. You can oath into something the Vindicators or the Stern Guard are going to shoot. Just do their thing, and then second oath after they kill something into whatever like something 2 Outrider units can hit or something. And as long as their saving characteristic isn't crazy, double Outrider squads going in is actually going to do a lot of damage. It's 24 2 damage attacks, which is kind of crazy. It's also interestingly really easy to get Outriders to fight, which sounds a little bit weird, but you almost always get the full attacks out of the unit because their bases are super long. So you can usually like you can extend off of your charge target and then put the other 2 like base to base with the front guy, make a little spearhead formation, and it's really easy to get all 3 of your dudes to fight. So getting like 2 Outrider squads into a single target during Assault Doctrine is actually not that hard. And a repulsor. Yeah, I think repulsors, honestly, I think repulsors are kind of underplayed. I was like kind of, I don't know. I didn't really respect them for a while. And then I saw some people playing them and I was like, this is actually kind of sick. It like basically solves a lot of your infantry sweeping problems because their defensive array is so crazy. And then it's a not irrelevant amount of anti-tank shooting, right? Twin Las Cannon, Hunter Slayer, plus the Onslaught. It's like good, right? It's not going to one shot anything, but it's certainly going to be an amount of damage that you care about. And then just having a unit you don't really respect that much, that just takes a little harder to kill than you expect it to. You can like smoke AOC it. It's not a 2+ save, but it's good enough. And it requires your opponent over allocates to kill it. And then once they do kill it, you still get the unit inside. So I don't know. Every time I've seen a repulsor, I've been really impressed with it. So Larry said the Space Marine Army forgot to hand Hunter Slayers to other vehicles. Yeah. Well, it's like probably Hall was like designing new vehicles, and he was like, we might as well upgrade the Hunter Killer missile while we're here. So yeah, chat. That's some cool stuff. Those are some cool lists. Any other factions that we want to particularly take a peek at? Otherwise, we can take a look at this Dawn of War thing. I'm kind of interested in that. Could I become a full-time Dawn of War content creator, chat? You think I could make it? I think it'd be kind of cool. I don't think I have the video gaming cachet, but I'd love to try my hand at it at one point. Kind of fun. I definitely don't have the time to like play video games for a really long time, but I don't know. It's my APM. I was playing when I was playing Age of Empires like hardcore. It was pretty high. It was in like the I don't know. It was in like the mid hundreds, I think. All right, let's look this thing up. I'm curious. I'm curious. Do you think it'll be on my front page? It literally was. Let's fucking go. Let's go. Oh, no. What the fuck just happened? Do I have my audio on? Make sure y'all can hear it.
18. We have fought the enemies of humanity across 1,000 worlds.
Oh, one sec,
No
chat.
respite,
There we go.
no remorse, no mercy.
Oh, no, chat.
We are the wrath of the Emperor.
A non-white
The
space marine.
angels of death.
Game's gonna end. The world's gonna be over.
But the Imperium
Dawn of War
lies
4-2 woke.
its army scattered and reeling. Our foes rise to drag us down.
This is the scout guy from Dawn of War 2, right? He was, whatever his fucking name was. I forget.
Galaxy has been torn asunder.
Man just get killed by a chronomancer?
We make us.
You just killed a melee by a chronomancer? That's embarrassing, dude. Oh, I would never show my face in a trailer after that, dude. I don't think I could let that fly. That man is strength 5 AP 1 damage. How does that even happen? Dude. Cyrus, that was his name. I was gonna say Cypher, but I was like, that's definitely wrong. The most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. Yucky. That's Glup Shitto. Incredible. Yeah, these are Blood Ravens. Yeah, they're the Dawn of War like main character guys.
On the world of Cronus, we make our stand. We are the Blood Ravens.
That's what he gets for not wearing a helmet. He gets stabbed in the belly.
Only vengeance.
Oh, he lived.
to
Okay,
enact.
good. Look at this little guy. He's hiding. This trailer's great. You think they saw me? I don't think they saw me.
Whilst even one of us lives, we fight. For only in death does duty end.
Did you just crash a Thunderhawk into a monolith? Wait, oh no, that's
Only in
that's
death
an Cestus assault ram. Is it an assault ram, chat? If so, sick. I think that is. I looked at so many assault rams for my old Astartes video because they used like a slightly weird like pattern of one. No, this is like a different thing. Is this a breaching torpedo? The assault ram has 2 bays, and this one only has 1, it looks like. The Scoreback Destroyer dying to 2 bolt pistol shots is insane. They have 3 wounds. Dude, this guy's clearly a Phobos lieutenant, and he died to a 3-attack Chronomancer. Maybe everyone already had ongoing wounds. Also, he apparently just straight up dies. Man died to that Chronomancer. R.I.P. Yeah, Doomstalker. Rare Doomstalker sighting. Let's go. That's cool. Necrons can have ongoing wounds. They reanimate. No, but like, what if he was in melee? What if he was in melee start of Necron turn, right? Didn't fall back. Inactive player fights first. Did a damage. Scorpek kills that guy, then gets shot twice with a bolt pistol and dies. Makes total sense. Make the pivot to a full-time Astartes assault ram streamer. All I do is cycle through pictures of assault rams and identify them. I'm like a geopicker streamer, but for wildly obscure, like bizarre 40k patterns of us of like boarding torpedoes. Incredible. Maybe the bolt pistol has sustained. Maybe it's an enhanced bolt pistol. Maybe it's Purgatorus. It is Blood Raven, so maybe they stole the chapter relic from somebody else. And they got a cool 9th edition relic bolt pistol. Repulsor Executioner, bro. Let's go. Let's go. This is such weird gameplay footage. This looks like a mobile game. Like, why is it isometric? Can you not move the camera? It's so weird and static. It kind of seems like they wanted to like, oh, Cataphrone Breachers. Or destroyers, I guess. They have plasma guns. Kind of look like breachers, though. I'm not gonna lie. That's sick.
Bucket of Steel Cable donated 27 Canadian dollars and
Hot
99
damn.
cents through Super Chat.
27
I'm
Canadian.
going to be so mad if the next data slate
That's at
nerfs
least 3
Sadmech
US.
because it was doing well into the Knight/DG meta. No crap anti-vehicle if faction was gonna do better into a Knight.
No crap that the anti-vehicle faction was going to do better to a Knight dominated meta. I hope rumors are wrong. If anyone saying that Adeptus Mechanicus are doing well is delusional. I don't like. They've had like 2 event wins in the last month. Like maybe their win rate's high. I don't know on lower tables, but I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, that would blow my goddamn mind if they ended up if Adeptus Mechanicus received nerfs. I could see nerfs to like SHC maybe if they buffed elsewhere to like reorient the faction. These Cataphrons are also teeny tiny babies. They're so small. But that would yeah, I would be shocked if we saw significant changes to Adeptus Mechanicus right now. The leaks on Reddit are insanely sus. Well, yeah, I haven't read any Reddit leaks. Oh, I love that they've got the old sync kill. That's a callback to the OG Dreadnought sync kill where he pulls the orc up and then like crashes him. That's sick. Also, look at what are these Mega Knobs doing? Just vibing in the back. Just hanging out. Interesting. This looks a lot like Dawn of War 3. But maybe I'm wrong. Oh, chat. Controversy. Chat. The drop pods have guns in them. The drop pods have store bolters. My favorite thing about 40k games is that because Warhammer is so constantly evolving and the lag time on games is so long, it's endlessly funny to me when things release after their their reimaginings or their resculpts have released that are just no longer canonical. And this is a fucking drop on shooting a storm bolter. Unacceptable, chat. There is no storm bolter. Not in my drop pod. I would never be caught dead playing a drop pod with a storm bolter in it. You see a storm bolter in that thing? No way. um, it was like the people asking like why there were no Rogaldorns in Space Marine 2. How come the world was on a Baneblade and not a Rogaldorn? It doesn't make sense for the scale of the engagement. Well, it's because they didn't have a Rogaldorn when they made Space Marine 2. That was too far back in the release cycle or in the development cycle. And this is exactly the same. That's so funny. That tickles me to no end. Amazing. Don't think the game looking like Dawn of War 3 is an issue because it looks great. I've never, I guess speaking as someone who's never played Dawn of War 3, so I'm going to come in with an open mind. But some feedback I heard about Dawn of War 3 was that its gameplay was essentially like incredibly difficult to like visualize, or like extremely difficult to parse, because it was just like a lot of visual noise. It was very busy. Can we find some gameplay? Yeah, here's one.
Gabriel Angelos, chapter master.
Or Gabriel Angelos. This is like early campaign, it looks like. But I want to say like Dawn of War 3 multiplayer. Can I find a multiplayer game? And it was just kind of like a mass of things. 1 versus 1 ESL Cup finals. Wait, they had an ESL Cup for Dawn of War?
Is pretty damn useful.
Oh, Indrid. I actually unironically love Indrid. I watched a bunch of his Dawn of War 2 stuff for a while. This is pretty okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just don't have enough experience with the game. This is like 3v3. There's like no way that that's going to be interesting, easy to parse. Yeah, this is much better, I guess, than the shots that I've seen. Because I've seen clips where it's just like an infinite mass of like just colors, basically. And there's a little bit of that, but it's definitely not quite as like high unit count as I thought it was. So it's probably fine. And then I imagine that this is like keyed up to the 9s for cinematic purposes. It does look extremely busy. Like it's kind of hard to parse. Like this shot right here is like insane. But I imagine that 90% of this stuff is like after, like effects that are added after, or like post production or whatever, or just for the cinematic shot. So it's probably better than it looks like here. Is oversaturated and bright. So the Battle Sector has no controller support. You play on a gaming laptop? I got sponsored by Battle Sector when it released. I only played like that tutorial. I was okay. It felt a little bit like, why am I not just playing TTS? Like all the people who say I would never play TTS because if I wanted to play Warhammer, I would just play the tabletop game, and it doesn't feel like I should like, you know, like I wouldn't want I would rather be playing a different video game instead of TTS. I feel exactly the same way about Battle Sector, where it's a video game that's like aping TTS, where it's like I could just be playing real Warhammer. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird about that though. This looks cool though. I like all the new stuff getting rendered. I like Adeptus Mechanicus being in there. That's actually really cool. Diving a little bit deeper into the lore, the model range. I don't like that a dude gets killed in melee by a chronomancer. That doesn't make sense. And also, apparently, a Scorpic dies to a boulder. There is a cool assault ram though. Do Eldari still worship Slanesh per 140,000 offers CS Godo? This is Dawn of War 4? Yeah, Dawn of War 4. Kind of a letdown compared to the old Dawn of War adverts. Yeah, the Dawn of War 3 trailer was like so incredibly masterful. As much of a the Dawn of War 3 trailer. This definitely feels like it's just the opening cinematic cut up for a trailer. But I wonder to some extent, because so this feels like it is either heavily what's the word? Or directed by Games Workshop, or it's made in-house because it does feel and look exactly like a Warhammer Plus show, right? Like this could just be an episode of the Tithes, and you I don't think you would you wouldn't really be surprised by that. Like you wouldn't think twice about that. It would like fit right in essentially. And I think that Games Workshop is like attempting so much more control over their brand that I wouldn't be surprised if they just like super hardcore like have kind of like constrained the creative freedom of any of their like cinematic stuff. Because like the Dawn of War 3 cinematic trailer was like almost, it was so artistic, it was like non-canonical. Like it reimagined a lot of like, you know, design and stuff. Which I imagine that Games Workshop is like probably pretty like hands on about now. Like I think they were hands off at the time. The Dawn of War 2 trailer was like, this world is ours, which no, it's theirs, right? And then yeah, Dawn of War 3 was like this fucking masterpiece. Dawn of 4, that's good. I like that. It's one of the most iconic game trailers of all time, Chad. Even if you're not a Warhammer fan.
I shall be light.
But it, like the visual aesthetic of like the armor, if you compare this to any of the stuff released nowadays, right? This from 8 years ago. It's like sandblasted, you know? It looks like a bone on purpose, right? Like the idea is that like these are supposed to be kind of like souls that are being sent to some sort of afterlife. And so purposefully it's supposed to evoke like an entirely different feeling.
I shall keep faith.
Whereas the more modern stuff is like super not. It's meant to be perfectly reminiscent of the miniatures.
In throes of rage,
It just kicks the snotling.
I shall hone my craft.
Like, this is crazy. This is like fucking so iconic. Just total reinterpretation of what Wraithbone armor looks like. Incredible. I think Eldar would be one of the most goated aesthetics of all time if they had just in miniature form dived into this look because it's so different than what they had up until this point. Like some artwork would kind of evoked this feeling, but like all Eldar armor was always like it was like the mesh armor, right? Which was just like mostly like armor plates over like a bodysuit. But this was like, nah, brah. It's like a weird eldritch symbiont, which is so much cooler of an idea for like the ancient and enigmatic race than I don't know. It's just regular armor, but a little thinner. Okay, so sick, dude.
In vengeance, I shall have no mercy.
There's also kind of like a cool juxtaposition here too, because the Eldar and the Marines have like the Marine armor in this cinematic is very reminiscent of like statuary, right? It's like stony almost. And it's supposed to be ceramic, right? It's ceramite. So it's actually like a ceramic alloy. It's sort of like when they do like a ceramic like armor plate in body armor. That's the idea. Canonically, originally, I think they've strayed away from that a little bit, but I believe that that's like the original idea of Space Marine armor is that it's meant to be made of stone, essentially. And they kind of leaned into that here. And so these guys and the Eldar, they look like statues, which is like cool, right? They're very artistic. And then you compare that to the only like metal things until we get to the end of the trailer, obviously. The only things that are made of metal in the entire trailer are the orcs. So it's like it's almost this like juxtaposition of this like these like ancient sort of pieces of artwork that are fighting against this like kind of this encroaching industrialization. I don't know. I kind of liked that as like a little bit of a theme.
In the midst of battle, I shall have no fear.
That's what Fights First looks like in 40K. The Wraithman has an enhancement given Fight First.
In the face of death,
God damn, dude.
I shall
The
have
fucking
no
the greatest
remorse.
video game trailer ever made, bro. And it's like 3 factions, and they're all being like sent into this hell, and that makes the 3 for the Dawn of War. God damn, it was good, bro. Oh man. Yeah, but I mean what you're saying is great, chat. Like it feels like they don't
Peggy 18.
they don't let the artists like off the chain as much anymore, you know, off the hook. Where did my Dawn of War 3 thing go? Did I close it? Ah, I just did something to my browser. Sorry, chat. One sec. Oh man. It's on Warhammer. It has 5,000 views. It's 5,000 views on Warhammer, 4,000 views on GameSpot.
Peggy.
It feels really low. I don't know.
We have fought the enemies of humanity across 1,000 worlds. No respite, no remorse, no mercy.
I do like that they have a tech priest actually doing cool tech priest stuff. I feel like we missed that a lot in tabletop 40k. The tech priests are like so trash in melee. But like combat tech priests or like go to battle are actually supposed to be hyper badass.
The Emperor, his angels of death.
Because they just have like infinite amounts of like little subsystems, like little combat subsystems. Like they just have lasers and shit everywhere, like digital weapons, you know, like subdermal like implants and stuff. And we don't get to see them do as many cool things as they should. Anyway, chat, that's interesting. When is it releasing? Do they say?
We are the wrath of the
Next year, probably. Oh, they're bringing back Last Stand. That's cool. That was actually kind of a sweet mode in Dawn of War 2. You like took a hero who like had went through an upgrade tree, and you fought like infinite waves of enemies. It's kind of sweet. It felt very like Dota almost. Excited? Yes. Wary? Also, yes. Cyrus gets promoted to a Phobos captain and immediately dies. Wow. In fairness, that is how Phobos captains usually go. Also, look at this. Nice. Look who's that. That's us. Kind of, but yeah, it's like a horde mode. Yeah, it's a horde mode, but you only have one unit that you play with. One character unit. Because the character in Dawn of War 2, the character like the whole game is about the character units. I don't know if they'll have the same. Oh, look, there's Cyrus. He's back. He was killed by a chronomancer. He's immediately been returned. It looks like he's got some stuff going on. He has some skills and things. Yeah, and there's like upgrade bar, so you can give him weapons, I bet. That was always a big part of the Dawn of War games. Haven't played since Dark Crusade, especially with the Crusade campaigns. I think that Dark Crusade was the only one. Or I think that Dawn of War 1 was the only one. I believe that Dawn of War 2 had a... I think it was like a... It was a largely linear campaign, if I remember correctly. And I don't know what Dawn of War 3 had, but I believe Dawn of War 3 was also linear. It was like strictly linear. But I don't quote me on that because I haven't played Dawn of War 2 in ages. I think you could like it gave you a selection of missions you could play and you chose one, I think is how it went. It was kind of like StarCraft 2. That's how it felt. But it wasn't like Final Liberation where you're like taking territory or anything. Played Dawn of War 2 Elite mod for years. Yeah, I played Elite mod for a little while. The Grey Knights faction was really cool. I very much enjoy that because you had like Inquisitorial Stormtroopers as like your basic units, and so they were like Space Marines, but like their basic infantry was worse, but their more elite infantry was like way better. That was really cool. I liked that a lot. Anyway, chat. I think we'll probably wrap things up there. Oh, got a lot of talking about Dawn of War, big old Dawn of War 4. Play some Dawn of War 4 on release. So folks, in about 2 hours, I'm gonna be live with a T5S2 invitational game. So hell yeah, you Battlefield 6 and Dawn of War. Dude, I played Battlefield 6 all weekend. So in between rounds, or after I finished streaming at Summer Assault, I played Dawn of War or Battlefield 6 with my friends. I am not sure how I feel about that game, bro. Oh man, I kind of feel like as a I hope that they got a lot of good feedback for the beta, or a good uh stuff for the beta. I Battlefield the Battlefield 2042 beta was a fucking nightmare when I played it. I remember that. That literally made me not buy the game. And the Battlefield 6 beta might do the same thing, because I don't think they've showed off enough of the game for me to like be into it. Battlefield was such a big part of like my childhood. Like Battlefield 2 and 2142, I put fucking hundreds of hours into those when I was like a kid and in like high school. And I was literally the other day, I was like, I really want like the OG, like tight squad, like Battlefield gameplay back. And it feels like it's so cod pilled, the new one. And all the maps are teeny. All the maps are like the size of like a like a rush map in old Battlefield games. It's like weird. It just feels weird, dude. So I don't know, dude. I don't know how to feel about it. The gunplay was really good. It was okay. I don't disagree. I did like shooting the guns. And it was like the difference between all the weapons is very stark, which was cool. I liked that a lot. The fact that they were able to meaningfully differentiate assault rifles and carbines was pretty impressive to me. But you know, it didn't really feel like Battlefield. I don't know if that makes sense. And I guess like to some extent, maybe that's not a bad thing, but they did make a statement separately that there are much larger maps inside the final release, but one of the nice things about Battlefield was like being able to expand your experience. Like if you wanted close combat fights, you could play Rush or Infantry only or whatever. But if you wanted like big sprawling battles, you'd play like large scale Conquest, which was like 128 players. And if it releases and it focuses entirely on 32 versus 32 on like small maps, I think it's just gonna be like, I don't know, it's just gonna feel like any other shooter, where it doesn't have that like sort of grand scale that original Battlefield did. And if it doesn't have that, then it's not that interesting. But I don't know. I don't know what to think. Watch the Donkey video on Battlefield. Literal direct hits with the RPG don't kill people. They don't always kill people, but I don't think that that's like crazy. Like in terms of game balance, like our RPG, is an anti-tank weapon, and it does a fuck ton of damage to tanks. One problem I had with previous Battlefields, like because I played Battlefield 5 for a really long time and 2042, after it finally got patched into oblivion. But killing vehicles and aircraft in that game was fucking miserable. It sucked so hard, and engineers are a legitimate threat to vehicles in Battlefield 6. It's crazy. They do so much damage. It's like 3-4 rockets, which isn't even your full complement of rockets as the engineer blows up a tank. If it's not being actively healed. So you need like good squad coordination to keep your vehicles alive, which I love. That's sick. But it shouldn't be like a catch-all weapon that also kills all like people too. Because if you have enough supports around, you have like theoretically infinite ammo, right? So it's like, but I've definitely killed lots of people by shooting my RPG at them. I don't know. Also, Halo ODST Warbond, yeah. That looks cool. Yeah. I got to jump back in Helldivers. Apparently you can buy it with super credits, which unlike because I think the Killzone ones were like cash only, right? And but I don't remember off the top of my head. But it was like that was heartening to me, because I expected it to be like a DLC. But they were like, it's just slightly more expensive than a regular Warbond, and I thought that was kind of cool. The tiny maneuverable helicopters in 2042? Yeah. The aircraft in 2042 was fucking so miserable. It required, in some maps, or even in a lot of maps, it required your team, and it was like the biggest balancing blunder like of all time. But it required your team to take an anti-air engineer just to scare away the fucking airplanes. But you couldn't kill them because their chaff basically like instantly refreshed. So they would just strafe. you would lock them so they would have to chaff and then leave. But even if you didn't chaff, it wasn't guaranteed you would die to the anti-air because it took 2 or 3 missiles to kill most aircraft. It was so stupid. It feels like the chaff is less effective in Battlefield 6, and the vehicles die in 2 missiles and are also damageable by small arms. So it does feel like they've changed the balance quite a bit. And engineers can also carry 2 missile launchers. You can carry an RPG and an anti-air missile, which is such a huge balance improvement. It's so crazy. Like, there's one map in the beta where it's just like wide and it's in a big canyon and it's wide open and there's airplanes all over the place. But engineers are just so goated on that map that the airplanes have to keep their distance, and so they don't just rack infinite kills. What a trash mechanic that was in 2042. Oh, I was thinking about with the self-guided rocket. Yeah, Nick, you could do that, but that was like really high skill cap, right? It was very difficult to do. I did love that fucking guided rocket though. That thing was rad. Absolutely wild. Anyway, chat. I think we're wildly off topic now, so I think I'm going to go ahead and outro myself. But I will be live in 2 hours. We will be live with the what is the next one? What is the next video we're doing? We are live with the. I'm going to make sure it redirects you over. Is it set up correctly? Wait, what the heck? Oh, here we go. With Chaos Knights versus Astra Militarum. That's going to be for the T5S2 Invitational. That's Nemo the Fish. If you have watched any amount of Best Drivers in 40K, you've certainly heard his name. Nemo the Fish versus Longship Loft, who's an OG Discord tabletop simulator player. So that's going to be a good one, I think. And I think it's a recon element from Nemo because he loves his mass infantry. But if anything can kill recon element, it might be Chaos Knights with 1,000,000 guns. So we'll see. I think it might be an interesting game, chat. I think it's going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Thanks for watching, everybody. And I will see you in the next one in about an hour. So don't go anywhere. And we're also going to be live 2 p.m. US Eastern with another T5S2 Invitational game. That's going to be Group A Finals tomorrow at 2 p.m. See you there.